They once called it the devil's fruit, a food so strange, so dangerous, so suspicious, that people believed eating it could drag your soul straight into darkness. And today we slice it, toss it in salads, and squeeze it on pizza without a second thought. But only a few centuries ago, the tomato was feared. This is the story of why people once believed the tomato was satanic. Our story begins in Europe in the 1500s. Explorers had just returned from the Americas carrying new plants no one had ever seen before. Potatoes, peppers, corn, and among them, a bright blood-red fruit that looked like it belonged in a witch's garden. To Europeans, the color red wasn't just a color. It was a warning: blood, sin, temptation, and the tomato had all three in one. Some priests even whispered that the fruit resembled the forbidden fruit from the Garden of Eden. A lure, a trap, a test from the devil. And people believed it, but the fear didn't stop there. When the wealthy began experimenting with this strange fruit, something horrifying happened. People died. At first, no one understood why. Dinner parties ended with guests collapsing. Noblemen became violently ill. And the one thing they all had in common was the tomato. Word spread quickly. The red fruit kills. In towns across Europe, it gained a new nickname, the poison apple. But the truth, it wasn't the tomato at all. The real killers were the plates. Rich Europeans used pewter plates, beautiful, expensive, and deadly. They contained high amounts of lead, and tomatoes, being acidic, pulled the lead right out of the metal. So every bite delivered a dose of toxic heavy metal straight into the bloodstream. People blamed the tomato, while the lead quietly did its work. But there was something else, something stranger, fueling the fear. The tomato belonged to the nightshade family, a group of plants connected to sorcery, witchcraft, and poisons for centuries. Deadly nightshade, mandrake, henbane, plants used in rituals, hallucinations, and potions. When herbalists looked at the tomato plant, they recognized its leaves instantly. Nightshade, witches' plants, cursed, and so the tomato joined the list of forbidden crops, said to cause madness, lust, visions, and even transformations under the full moon. Some villagers refused to even touch it. By the 1700s, the tomato had become a cultural villain. Books and pamphlets warned that cutting into one released satanic vapors. Farmers swore the plant attracted werewolves. Rumors spread that witches used tomato seeds in their spells and curses. But while fear dominated Europe, something different was happening across the ocean. In Mexico and Italy, tomatoes were being transformed into something divine. Sauces, donut stews, spices. The fruit that Europe feared became the fruit that flavored entire nations. And little by little, the fear began to fade. By the late 1800s, the tomato wasn't demonic anymore. It was delicious. It found its way into soups, sandwiches, pasta, and every kitchen it once haunted. But the legends never truly died. Even today, some old superstition books still list the tomato as a witch's fruit, a plant with a shadowed past. It wasn't poisonous, it wasn't cursed. It wasn't satanic, it was misunderstood. A victim of fear, rumor, and the human instinct to distrust what we don't recognize. So next time you cut into a tomato, remember that this ordinary fruit once terrified entire countries. It was accused of witchcraft, blamed for murder, and treated as a gift from the devil himself. But history proved something powerful. Sometimes the scariest monsters are just things we don't yet understand.